Hello guys, are we live? Just give it a second. Oh, drop my camera. Great start. All right guys, I think we're live. I've got a day off work. So I thought I'd just jump on here, do a live stream. I don't know why, just so much to do in the middle of the day and it's dinner time. Hopefully some people can join. I've got me ciabatta BLT. I've got a cup of coffee and I've got a little cake. What a day. What a day to be alive as a Man United fan. But anyway, I just wanted to just give my general thoughts on Utd Takeover and what I think about Jim and what he's doing with the club, or supposedly doing with the club. We're still waiting for the announcement and exactly what's going to happen. Some people say it's today. Some people say it's going to be next week. Who knows? You never know with Man United, do they? They'll just drop something at any point. But Fridays, for some reason, at United seem to be a day when they decide to do things. But Sir Jim, right, let's get on to this now. Let's put it straight out there. What did I want? Number one was 100% takeover. Who it was, I didn't really care. I'm going to be honest here and say that yes, I wanted Qatar, because the truth of the matter is, right, think what you like about Jim or a lesser person coming in and taking 100% control of the club. Let's have a look at the Premier League over the last 10 years or so. What clubs have won it consistently? If I can speak consistently. Man City win it nearly every single year. Who they owned by? Abu Dhabi. Billions and billions and billions just sunk into the club to get them where they are. Chelsea, probably before that, were the next main team. Who were they owned by? Roman Abramovich, a massive oil tycoon, Russian billionaire who just wanted to pay, who just had endless money to dump into the club. And I'm not particularly against Sir Jim coming over and coming in. What I'm against is, and I know he's got to do it gradually. He can't afford to buy it outright. The Glazers won't sell it outright, as we know, because they won't sell it to frigging Qatar, would they? So they're not going to sell it to Jim. He's got to get his foot in the door and get over the line somehow. And I'm not particularly a Jim fan myself. Yes, he wants to put Manchester back in Manchester and this, that, the other. You know what I mean? But the reality of it is let's face it, he's, from what they're saying now, he's taking 12% of the fan or the shareholder shares and 12% of the Glazers shares. So he's not even taking 25% of the Glazers shares anymore. I mean, that is not good as a Man United fan to start with. He's not even taking 25% of the Glazers shares out. He's taking 12%. That's one real bugbear I have with it. But I'm trying to stay positive around Jim today, not moan about it. But I'm going to just get my things out there to start with. He wanted to buy Chelsea, failed. Chelsea season ticket holder. Some people say, yeah, he lives in London, Chelsea season ticket holder, blah, blah, blah. His mates might go to Chelsea, all this crap. He's a billionaire. He could get a private jet to Manchester every week to watch Man United if he was that big a Man United fan. I'm afraid to tell you, he ain't that big of a Man United fan if he's off to sit in Chelsea's season ticket stand every week. I don't give a shite what anyone says. He can say he's a Man United fan all he likes, and maybe he is. He's a billionaire, man. He can click of a finger get himself to Manchester for any game. But anyway, that's another story. Then he's bought Barcelona, or tried to buy Barcelona. He's got Nice and that Lausanne. We know what's happened with them over the past few years. Okay, Nice are doing all right now, but all we've heard is moaning at Nice for the last however many years that since he's got in, it's been a shambles. But let's go for the positives here. And the only positives I can look at is that he does seem to have gone in there with an agenda to change things. And you have to say at the moment, what he looks like he's doing is promising. He's got rid of Arnold already. Some say he'll walk, some say he'll jump before he was pushed. Whatever, he's gone. Do I think Arnold had a tough job after taking over from Woodward? Yes. Do I think he's done a particularly great job? No. Am I sad to see him leave? No. Next on the list looks like Murtagh's on his way out, which fine by me again. Neither of them need to be in them jobs. Get some proper people in. Let's take over. But all I can say about Jim really is, and I know this video is all over the place because I hadn't really planned it, I just jumped on, is that we have to look at the positive that he seems to be coming in and making actual changes to the footballing structure of the club. If you forget about Qatar and the 100% takeover for a minute and go back 2 years before the Glazers decided they were going to sell, they were definitely. If Jim had come in and done that then, I think we'd have been all over the moon that he's come in and he's changing the structure of Man United. The problem we have is that we've seen that glimpse of that we could have been the next City. We could have been the next Newcastle, with endless money being dumped into the club until we're successful again. Sir Jim has got billions and billions of pounds, but he hasn't. I don't think he's got 4 or 5 billion to dump into the club to take us back to the top in a couple of years. He may get us there in 5, 10 years. We are not going to be competing with City to win leagues and Newcastle in 2-3 years' time. For one, the whole structure of the club needs changing. 2, is there anybody out there who thinks any of these players that we have now are good enough to be in a Man City team and win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues? The only 2 I'd say is Varane and Casemiro, and for some reason those 2 are the ones who had talked about being sold. They've both won, 5 Champions Leagues each. Yes, they're on a lot of money. Yes, they're coming to their end of the career. Yes, we shouldn't be buying these kind of players all the time. But Casemiro hasn't just fallen off a cliff from last season to this season. The whole team is total and utter garbage. And this whole get rid of Casemiro and all that crap, who was going to play in there instead? McTominay for the rest of the season. I thought we wanted rid of McTominay for the last 2 or 3 seasons because he wasn't good enough. Now all of a sudden he's better than Casemiro, is he? Get a grip of yourselves. Amrabat, I've said it from the start, said it in my last video, 27-year-old playing in Serie A for Fiorentina, bought off the back of an half-decent World Cup for Morocco. Ten Hag's not even playing him. Load of shite. Get rid of him. We do not need to be continuing his loan. Let me have some ciabatta. Anthony flop. Mason Mount, 60 million quid. I actually think Mason Mount's an all right player, and if he got a chance at a run in the team at either right wing or at 10, I think he'd be perfectly fine for United. He's what we need, a progressive forward who can keep the ball and knock it around a bit, not this bloody Hollywood football we have with Bruno all the time. I don't want to get into Bruno again because I do it on every video, but I don't get the fans thinking Bruno is the best thing since sliced bread. He's given the ball away more than anyone in the Premier League. His short-range passing is some of the worst in the league. Whether it's complacency, lack of concentration, or lack of quality, his short passing wouldn't be acceptable in my Sunday League football team. That is how bad it is. And yes, he crops up with a goal here and there. Yes, he does a worldy assist, but his 1 assist or 1 goal in a game over 90 minutes acceptable for a Man United captain to say that he's pulling his weight? I think I said it in the last video I did about that if Maguire was still captain now, he would be getting his head ripped off by the fans for him being captain and the quality of the performance. But for some reason, Bruno gets away with it. Nobody seems to mention it at all that he's captain and the performance is pathetic. We added extra pressure onto Maguire as captain last year. And I'm not sat here thinking I think Maguire should be at the club. I think he should be gone. But if we're going to put the extra pressure on Maguire being captain for the performances, we have to do the same to Bruno. And he's been awful. And we're sat here wanting to get rid of Casemiro out of the club, a 5 times Champions League winner, while people like Bruno are running around like an headless chicken as captain. I mean, the fans need to get their heads sorted out. I just don't get it. Like, I don't know whether it's modern fans or people who haven't been, a lot of fans who just have not been with us when we've been successful in the past. But if Bruno is our best player, let's put it this way, if Bruno is our best player, like all the fans and that seem to think he is, then we're in big, big, big trouble. Because that means every single player in our team needs replacing. Because if he is the pinnacle, the best we've got, we are in extremely, extremely bad position. But yeah, I mean, I've been negative again. I was trying to be positive. So yeah, the Jim deal, I think we have to give him a chance. This is what we've got now. Qatar's gone. The 100% takeover's gone. Do I think Jim will ever take over 100% of the club, or at least 100% of the Glazers shares? Not in 3 years. No way. Not if he's only just bought 12% now. Even if he buys another 12% next year, or 25% next year and 25% the next year, and he's only taking 12% of the Glazers out. That's still only half of the Glazers shares. They own 70% of the club. If Jim takes over the whole of Man United, I think it'll be the late 20s. It'll be 28, 29, 30. I don't think we're going to see him put 25% down, 50% down again in these huge billion chunks. I think he'll start buying shares gradually, a couple of 100 mil here, a couple of 100 mil there, and investing into the club that way. I don't think we'll see him all of a sudden just cross the line and spend a couple of billion to buy the club or a massive percentage of the club again. It's not his money, is it? It's Ineos's money. And yes, okay, he owns Ineos, but it's not his personal wealth like it was Qatar's personal wealth. But I think what he's doing with the structure is the right thing to do. Do I think we should buy players in January? No, I don't. Maybe we could get a loan. I don't think we should spend any money in January. I think we need to get what it looks like Paul Mitchell's coming in, this Blanc guy. They need to come in. They need to put the coaches, the scouts and everything they want in underneath. And we go from now till the summer, putting a foot, and either can talk to Ten Hag, the style, whatever he wants to do, and we buy players in the summer. We're not winning anything now anyway. We're going to go out the Champions League. Best we're going to get in the league is 4th or 5th. And that's if we're extremely lucky. We're out the Carabao Cup, and what we got, the FA Cup, we probably won't win anyway because City and the rest of them are going to still be in it. So we may as well just not waste any money in January because let's face it, like I've said before, Ten Hag signings have a lot to be desired. Anthony, 80, 90 million, complete and utter flop at the minute. One of the worst signings we've had at the club ever that I can remember, really. I can only think of a couple of others, maybe Sanchez, Di Maria and Sancho. Those 4 are currently probably 4 of the worst signings we've ever made. Mount, like I said, don't get why he's not using him. Amrabat, don't get why he's not using him. Onana seems to be doing okay now. and they're not up to scratch. And Ericsson's a good player on the free. He's past it. You know, I don't. I think Ten Hag needs some help from above. It's clear that what he was trying to do is buy players that he knew from the past and he knew could do a job for him. And I think he's coming to the Premier League. I think he's now realised that the difference in physicality and quality of the Premier League is hugely different to what he's used to. And the players he could rely on from the German, Dutch type leagues, they're not up to scratch in the Premier League. And we see it all the time. It's very rare someone from the Dutch or the German league really comes to the Premier League and takes it by storm. It just doesn't happen. I mean, look at Timo Werner. He was unbelievable in Germany. He couldn't hit a barn door over here. It's a massively different game. It's quicker. It's more physical. The teams across the whole league are way better standard. I mean, I think teams like bloody Crystal Palace and that lot would be in the three, top 3 or 4 in Germany and probably Spain. That's how poor those leagues are under the top 2 or 3 teams. But I mean, we'll go on to Fergie apparently being involved to advise Ratcliffe. I mean, I think Fergie's already on the board anyway, isn't he? So he already has some sort of saying what goes on in the club at board level. I mean, what do I think about it? I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's more of a thing with Jim getting Fergie involved, which will get the fans on his side more than anything substantial. I don't I don't think Fergie's going to be in the background saying sign him, go get him. I think he'll literally be there. He's a public face. Everybody loves the guy. If Jim gets him on his side, then it's a lot easier for the fans to like Jim because he's got a lot of sucking up to do to the fans for enabling the Glazers, basically. And I mean, like I say, he seems to be doing an okay job of it at the minute. Like I say, I think we've just got to wait and see what the plans are that come out in the next few days, week or so, of what the real plan is, and the hope that he is going to invest in the club more and he is going to eventually get rid of the Glazers at some point, or at least take away their majority of their shares so they're not in a majority ownership where they can stamp the foot if they want to and start controlling things again. And I just want to, and just to finish, I just want to touch on our run of fixtures just after this international break. Then we've got Everton away. Is it on Saturday tea time? Extremely tough fixture. That Everton have got a bit of form going. It looks like they're going to get 12 points deducted. They're going to be well up for it. It's going to be a tough game. We are shockingly bad against teams at the bottom of the league as well, as we've seen over the past few weeks. That is going to be a rough game. Then we go to Galatasaray away at tea time. I think it's a 5:30 kickoff on the Wednesday. That is going to be. I can't. I hate to say this, but I can't see us beating Galatasaray away. We are poor away from home at the best of times. Going to Galatasaray, it's always been a known place in Europe. There's an awful atmosphere and a terrible place to go and get a win. And I can't see us winning that game. I can't. Then the Saturday, we've got Newcastle away, so 3 massive away games. Newcastle have got a few injuries. We've also seen Trippier gobbing off at fans. They're probably going to have a couple of players back by then. I can't see us beating Newcastle either. I could see us maybe getting a 1-0 or a draw against Everton. We'll lose to Galatasaray. That's us gone in the Champions League. Lose to Newcastle. And then December, we've got Liverpool, Bayern, Spurs just after January, the first game in January. We've got then the Boxing Day, New Year fixtures. I mean, I don't want to say it, but we've scraped through the last 4 or 5 fixtures, same with the best form in the league and all that lot. We've played Burnley, Fulham, Luton, and Sheffield United and beat them all by a goal. And then in between, we've lost in the Champions League, we've lost to City, and we lost to Toon in the Cup. So the three big games we've lost, and the four games against the Minnows we've scraped to win with Moments FC and crap performances. How do we expect to go through the whole of December in the fixture crunch with our squad, with Champions League games in there, and come out the other end of January in a better position? Some people say, well, we're going to get players back. Who have we got out, really? Now, who's not back? Shaw and Martinez. And everybody's on about Luke Shaw again. Oh, Luke Shaw, when we get Shaw back, we'll be so much better. It'll be better for Rashford, this, that, and the other. Are we forgetting that Luke Shaw has been here for 8 or 9 years and he's good in fits and starts? Like, Luke Shaw probably is one of our better players at the minute. But are we again, modern fan mentality? Luke Shaw has been here for 8 or 9 years. What success has Luke Shaw had at Man United? None. He's inconsistent like the rest of them. He'll have 6 months where he's good, 6 months out injured. 6 months poor, 6 months injured. 6 months good, 6 months injured. He's out injured all the time. He's inconsistent. And this myth about him making Rashford better. He's played with frigging Rashford for 5 or 6 years now. Rashford's had like 1 or 2 good seasons. They're both inconsistent. If we were having a restart, I'd get rid of them both. How can Rashford's the poster boy for Man United? Again, a bit like Bruno, our so-called best players, Bruno and Rashford. 375 grand a week off the back of a half of a decent season last year. He can't do anything this year. And again, we're on about getting rid of Casemiro and Varane. The players have won things. I don't get it. It's weird to me. Odd. And Luke Shaw, again, I mean, I definitely welcome him back because he's better than what we've got. But are we really pinning our future on Luke Shaw? Really? Honestly? I just don't. I don't get it. I don't think we'll be much better with Luke Shaw back. To be honest, the back four isn't the problem. As much as people say Onana's been crap, we've got Evans and Maguire at the back and Dolo and whoever else playing at the back. The fact is, if you look at the league table, like I said on my last video, if you go back and watch it, that we've conceded the same amount of goals as all the teams around us. We're not conceding more goals than other teams. The problem we have is scoring goals. The other teams around us have scored 29, 30 goals. We've scored 13. So less than half of what the other teams around us have scored. And we're all here digging out Maguire and Evans and that lot when they start. The problem is Rashford, Højlund, as much as I don't want to say it, Anthony, Bruno, Sancho, you can even put Garnacho in there because he's had a few games, Mount, Eriksen, the midfield, the attacking midfield and the forwards couldn't hit a barn door. And I've got nothing against Højlund because he's a 20-year-old who should not be first starter for Man United. Look, I think he's a good player. He's got huge potential. But why is he being bought for 70 million euros and been stuck up front after scoring 9 goals in Serie A? It's madness. He should have been a 30, 40 million player who comes in behind another striker. But again, poor decisions. We should have been spending 70 million quid on a striker that is proven. But I'm going to leave this there, and that is what I've got to go. All I've got to go on about today. Sir Jim, got to give him a chance. He's our only hope for the future now. I'd say he's not going anywhere for the next 10 years. So we need some positivity, and we need to hope that he's not going to make these changes in the first year and then he drops off the face of the planet and we don't hear from him again. So for now, I'm going to give him the chance. I'm going to try and get behind him because what else can we do? Two, the performance isn't going into December. It's going to be a really, really tough time. That I mean, I don't want Eric Ten Hag sacked, but I'm telling you, he could be gone by January. As much as I hate to say it, go look at our. I'd get them up, but they're up in my last video because I went through it on there, so I'm not going through it now. But go and look at our next fixtures from now till January, and they are rough. And yeah, thanks anyone who's watched, looked, viewed. Please hit the like, fave, subscribe, all that stuff. I don't know if anyone's commented in the chat because for some reason my chat window's not come up in OBS. So it's me just ranting now, and I'll go eat my ciabatta and my cake, and let's all have a positive weekend. England are on to bore everyone to death, and then we'll have Premier League back next week. Peace.